So I'm over here, which means that
I never engaged. Now that you're
look where I'm pointing.
It should be behind me.
No, look at where I'm pointing and the camera.
There's
I'm
nothing
pointing
there.
towards the Bitcoin.
There's nothing there. Where's the camera?
Find it.
Where's the
Find where is it?
But
That's
there's
cheap.
literally the captain's chair.
I'll sit on it. Another one. Whoa.
Start date
Dangerous.
14.
Take some getting used to. Whoa, it might be a locking feature.
Perhaps your leg, but
You gonna be free on Saturday?
Yeah.
What am I going to my house?
Locking features.
We gotta be right there. We can't trash the
There's a white sheet.
Wifey's actually on another,
Let's show where it's actually.
oh,
the other one?
for the Bitcoin movement in there?
Yeah, a lot of the hikes, a lot of the big players.
Yeah, but she had to pay.
No, Pat, what's, Pat, what's the hard use of that?
Yeah, man. Charlie Schramm.
I've seen you.
Yeah, I've seen more than my share.
Do you see it in the reflection?
Oh, it's so
Right there?
small.
It looks large on the screen.
It's gigantic.
That's cool. I have one of those.
Is that wireless?
Hey, how you doing?
Is that camera wireless?
Oh, am I gonna miss the presentation if I sit over here? Wow.
Anything we say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bitcoin looks like it's X1
It looks very large too. There it is.
So I got an Uber mic just for this. So I can actually hear myself.
Dude, that's a quality mic right there.
Yeah, this is a crazy mic.
We should
No,
like
that's a
have
quality
a,
one.
we should like have Bitcoin Meetup with London or something.
Huh?
You should.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but it's
We
too
can set
late.
that up. Yeah, but what time is it? It's like 5 hours.
One
later.
in the morning.
The authorities are gonna love this. You're making it so much simpler.
They would have to do it, probably still don't work though.
Are you sure? You know, intimidating evidence.
We Montreal.
Hey, how are you?
I'm gonna sit down before I don't get a seat.
Come back for this. No, I stay.
Yes, I have a side of it.
You minor too?
What's that?
You minor too?
I wish.
Not yet?
Oh, okay, it's sitting right. It's going wrong.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Were we live streaming here?
Yeah. Yes,
RC, you know anything about that Apple story? You know anything about the Apple story?
4 to 6 weeks.
No,
This is the first time doing a stream.
Oh,
First time.
yeah. Does anyone know what the story is?
Oh, yeah.
So people
Huge
tuning
though.
in online.
They didn't every single guy.
It was just
Wow.
it was like Joe Louis. It was Andre.
Like, this is the source. Like, they-
Yeah, I tried to read the article, but it was paywall.
Yeah.
You know, you can get around that.
Somebody posted it on Bitcoin Talking.
What do you do? You just type
Put
it.
them Barron's, Wall Street Journal,
I guess
most articles, 90%. You search on Google and you get to
But then, Google has a website, so you have to click into it.
a lot of work.
Oh, the secret project.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Make sure
Like,
that you're
Facebook or whatever.
Trying to get like read a lot of articles.
No, here's what happened. On Sunday, I'm like,
Oh, wait.
you know, I'm just trying to get people to open my whatever stuff, and I just got sick, like, oh, you know, I'm just
Oh,
this
yeah.
and that.
I'm gonna get my anonymous man.
I've shot a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna go shoot this myself, right? So I skated from the financial, right?
Where's the camera?
With the bag. stopping along the way to hit every bank. Shut that down.
I tried to wait. I went to get my.
Take it down, escape the spot. So I get all the shots, right? And then I'm, if you look at that, I've been doing it for 4 or 5 hours, like just super hot. I'm wearing this polyester suit, you know, I didn't take it off because I couldn't take it fully off. Anyway, so I go to Subway, and the kids are like distracting me.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. His Holiness the Being, the Bit Being.
Realize,
Oh, am I gonna?
oh shit, I don't have
Okay,
my
great.
bag.
I'm not in the camera. That works for me.
So, you don't have what? I don't have my bag.
Oh.
Left my
Oh, hey,
kids
it's
alone.
a you too.
Wait. What's your name again? Sorry.
Yeah,
That's okay.
So,
Steve, you didn't get. I think there's a trick.
as soon as I got home, I went back. It was gone.
Good. Are you older or younger? Oh, you're older. So
No, I thought it was either a Subway, and I said, no, no, and then I took it in my hand. No, I didn't have a bag there.
I get the advantage of being
Right
right
before I hit the
before.
Subway.
So I enjoy my both position of What? Sure. Oh, right, yeah. I'm totally gonna sit there.
Last person raised their hand. Like, she said a few things that like.
Oh, wow!
That's a serious laugh. I don't think that's gonna work at all.
No. I mean, like, no, there's like a 30-second.
Is that in case we curse, we kill someone, we can edit it?
YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, why aren't you appearing on the screen?
I don't even think I walked in yet.
He's a vampire.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Ooh, let me see.
There you are. There you go.
Yay!
There you are.
Yeah, you got next to large revival right now. That's right.
For me, like,
Oh, that's great. What else do you got? I'm trying to only wear Bitcoin shirts from now on. Today was laundry day, so I'm still going to take Pokemon Zombie shirt on. Whatever, I'll take whatever you got. I would prefer the orange, but anything works. Great.
Hey,
We're working on that.
Yeah, I was talking with him.
Yeah, he totally wasn't.
three of those top
More education.
Andre, so the other event that's happening right now is a fundraiser for the Kickstarter, the Bitcoin movie. So that's where all that money's going to. So I actually, like, I kind of don't mind that they're...
I thought it was weird. BitcoinNYC.
Yeah, I got really concerned, and then I realized it was just those guys. And I was like, all right, fine.
It sounded to me like it was just some law firm promoting themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, Suzanne's there. So.
Yeah. It was, this is the first of many instances that are going to arise, so it's probably best if I get out of it.
Yeah, I think you're probably
I'm not putting, $1,000 hours into something, and then someone just very easily comes around. It's like, hey, what's my name now? So, Pat, tell us when you want. Oh wow, he even has a banner. That looks great.
Yeah, it looks, professional.
BitcoinNYC is one word. God damn it! Don't screw this up.
Right now you're broadcasting the eating of grape.
No, we're oh god, we're on the side. I guess so.
That's like a black suit.
It's very meta. We're watching us watching us.
That's your stuff?
And then if you videotape us watching us,
But next week,
us,
maybe you
then
can,
it gets weird.
Yeah.
Actually, now there's no delay.
Yeah.
It's like just 2 or 3
No, that's a
seconds.
Google Hangouts. That's live.
So Pat, when you're ready, I'll start.
Up to you.
Okay, cool. Hello guys. I see some new faces, which I'm really happy about. My name is Jonathan Mohan. I started this little shindig called BitcoinNYC. In the 5 months we've been doing it, we've grown to be the most active Bitcoin community. We meet once or twice a week. Last week we had a conference, so we'll probably be discussing that. But the format is we introduce ourselves, get down to group discussions. So the way it is you introduce, hello, please have a seat. Who are you? What brought you here today? And what specifically you would like help with today? So my name is Jonathan Mohan. What brought me here is I run the damn thing, so I kind of got to be here. And what I want help with doing is a couple of things. But one is we just got from the conference $21,000 pledged to donate to PBS if they accept Bitcoins. So if anyone knows anyone at PBS that we could talk to help make that happen, we were thinking about doing a Ron Paul-esque money bomb, and we could probably up that to about 50 grand.
Wait, can you explain that again?
Yeah, that'll be something. I don't want to hijack this for me, but so stuff like that is what you'd say you want help with. If we all are giving PBS $20,000, that'd be really, really good. But now to RC, who also has the distinction of being the bit being.
Unfortunately.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, I'm RC Hall. I used to work for BitInstant. I don't anymore. My new project to try to stay involved with Bitcoin is I am a living Bitcoin. It's a very large costume.
It's a giant Bitcoin.
With a black bodysuit. I tried to. I was just explaining to someone here that I just shot all this footage on Sunday, which I was really excited about. Spent like 5 hours, worked really hard, and because I was a one-man crew, ended up losing my camera and my lenses and my footage. So I'm bummed about that. But if you want to support me and help me support Bitcoin with BitBeing, so I can reshoot, I do have T-shirts, $20.
And they come in 3 colors.
3 colors.
And he also runs the Wednesday meetups, which are tomorrow. And you guys just get beers and you eat and talk.
Oh,
Yes.
Bitcoin. Sexy times of Bitcoin. That's it.
Am I supposed to go now?
Yeah.
I'm Rachel. I'm new here. I learned about Bitcoin, and it was quite hard to get some, so I tried mining PrimeCoin, actually. Should I mention that?
Yes.
On my Mac, that just works as well, because they don't have pools set up and so on. But I'm just learning about it, essentially.
Great.
I don't really have any Bitcoins.
There's a weekly meeting called Satoshi Square, where a bunch of people meet at Union Square and just buy and sell Bitcoin in person.
Okay.
So if you feel safe doing that, I would suggest just giving them a visit.
Okay.
There's no reason not to feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, just
I mean, he's there.
go armed.
Go to Union Square.
So,
Hey, I want Bitcoin.
So Rachel, that guy over there is there. So whatever you take from that, just know that that's how safe it is.
Just bring lots of cash.
You know, there was a Reddit post that some woman was posting on Craigslist that she was looking to have sex on top of $2,000 in cash, and it turned out to be just 2 guys who went around robbing suckers who thought they were having sex with a woman because they knew they'd have $2,000 in cash on them.
That's not Bitcoin, is it?
No.
He's got a point.
Oh, now you guys are sorry.
Okay, so I'm Samir. I used to be involved with digital cash and online internet anonymous payment systems and blinding and David Shaw and all that back in the 90s. But lately I haven't been involved with any of that. Now I own a robot company and I'm just interested in general in Bitcoin. I don't have any specific.
Did you say robot company?
Yeah.
What does that do?
Well, we sell, it's not Bitcoin related at all, but we sell academic robots. We sell to universities, research robots, robot operating system, and sort of the leading.
So they're really pretentious and they don't teach you anything useful in real life?
No, they teach you a lot of useful
No,
stuff.
you meant academic robots.
Well, oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, I mean, the robots aren't academic. We sell them to academics.
Gotcha.
That might be a better way to put it. Okay. And we're also working on a robot house product.
Very cool.
Hey, my name's Lewis. I'm involved in a few cryptocurrency projects, and you know, if anyone has any experience like trying to build a cryptocurrency, I got some good ideas for that as well.
My name is Benson Evans. Kind of looking at Bitcoin and banking. I developed an online banking platform many years ago and trying to leverage that. Kind of working on 1 or 2 projects. There's a few members in. Things are going great so far.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm a web developer. I just want to learn more about Bitcoin. I just learned about this like 3 weeks ago, so this is my second time to the meetup. But, yep, learned a lot. Thank you.
Go back there.
Sure. I'm missing
Oh, so who are you? What brought you here today? And what
Yeah.
specifically you would like help with?
My name's Jeff Arnold. I'm working on a cross-platform trading system, cross-exchange trading system for Bitcoin. That's why I'm here. I don't know if I'm particularly looking for help in anything, but thanks.
My name is Alex. I do some mining and
Mining in what?
Litecoin.
Oh, right.
Strip mining.
Good time to buy.
And just here because I learned more in one of these meetings about what actually happens in Bitcoin in the real world than just sitting on IRC mining for 4 months.
All right. Good story. My name's Andre DeCastro. I'm launching a company called eCoin Cashier. Love this group. Come often. I'm looking for some help to be introduced to individuals who either have a lot of knowledge in managing pools or being introduced to someone who is involved in managing a pool presently. So if you can help me with that, that would be great.
I'm Frank. I work in nonprofit finance and accounting, and just trying to learn more about Bitcoin and maybe some of the opportunities that it has for nonprofits in New York City.
Cool.
David,
just to interject for a second, there's an organization called the Bitcoin 100 that you want to be aware of, and what they do is they help you set up a BitPay account so that your nonprofit can receive donations, and the first donation they give you is 10 Bitcoins to your nonprofit. So pretty much they actually have about 60 grand in the bank that's just sitting there because they haven't been approached by 59 nonprofits to say, hey, we'd like to set up Bitcoin. So if you have clients...
Bitcoin 100?
Yes. So I'll introduce them with you later, but all of your clients can get set up if they're 501c3s, and they'll just, like, I did it once, I did it with another company called Sons of Love, and in 5 days they had the grant.
Okay, David Hamdar, been involved with Bitcoin for quite a while, and just always looking for interesting investments, and I guess specifically today, just try to hopefully come up with some new things to do with Bitcoin. Where to put it.
My name is Omar, and I just am a general computer person, and I wanted to create something with Bitcoin, namely either some type of a payment processing or like an ATM, because I have a guy who was supposed to come who owns an ATM company and he was interested in something like that. So I just wanted to see what knowledge is already out there so I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
My name is Steve. I run a company called QuickCoin. We did over-the-counter trading for a very long time. Still trying to deal with regulation. QuickCoin is actually a signatory of DATA. If anyone's heard of that? The committee to form the Digital Asset Transfer Authority, which is an SRO, self-regulating organization for Bitcoin companies. So if anyone wants to hear about that, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts about.
Marco wrote the agenda on how they're going to deal with you for the foundation.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm also on one of the committees of the foundation as well.
No, I know.
And finally, there is regulation plays a huge part in Bitcoin right now. Next Thursday, there's a virtual currencies meeting. Compliance.
Wednesday, you mean?
Is it Wednesday?
So it's August 14th,
August 14th.
and it's run by David Landsman, who's the National Money Transmitter Director, and the former 5-year-long director of FinCEN is going to be there to keynote about Bitcoin, as well as a bunch of other regulators. So to the extent to which you want to know about compliance or meet people in compliance, that is most certainly the place to do it.
It's going to be crazy.
And if you wish to use the coupon code MOHAN, which is my last name, that would seriously go towards getting you a $100 discount and helping my group out.
Also, if you want to go and throw potatoes at me, I'll be speaking.
Done.
And want to speak too. So it's a really good way to learn more about the legalities of the legal challenges that Bitcoin's facing. So if you're interested, and it's also a way to put a face on the government, because right now the government's the enemy trying to shut down Bitcoin. So the NFSA, but these are going to be people that are actually in the government, the bureaucrats who manage these regulations. So it might help us.
We actually just received word that New York is coming.
Yeah, New York and Texas and
yeah,
someone else too, right? But these are the actual regulators who are regulating the money transmission law, and it helps put a face on us as Bitcoiners. We're not drug dealers, money launderers, and terrorist finances.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
But let's just move on.
Hey folks, my name's Jim. I'm a practice lawyer upstate, and I'm fascinated by the business opportunity, the investment opportunities, but most importantly, the regulatory stuff. I'm also quite tired of reading. I like to actually meet the people who are doing this stuff, and interacting and getting to know your business. It's fascinating, so I'm really glad to be here. Great.
Guys, I'm Jason Rosenstein. I've been here a while. I'm doing several projects, with some individuals in the group here. One thing I'm working on now is Coinographer, and we sell one-touch script-based mind rigs, which if you want to talk to me about that later, you can come to me. I'm here to just network with other guys, see what projects you're working on, if we can, find a beneficial kind of business networking that you can do. That's about it.
Hey guys, my name is Justin. I run the blog Bitcoin Google Scholar Alerts, btcgsa.info. I'm a software developer. I'm currently working on 2 projects. One of them is on the back burner. It's building a user interface for some of the smart contract aspects of the Bitcoin protocol. I'm also building a multimodal online wallet service that allows you to store, send, exchange, and invest your Bitcoins. I'm also heading up, sorry RC, every Wednesday, BitDevs Meetup, which is going to take place here 7 to 9.
Every 2 Wednesdays.
Every 2 Wednesdays, right?
Dance Meetup?
BitDevs.
You were actually the first person to dance at a Bitcoin meetup with your skateboard.
Right, so if you're a software developer, a hardware developer, you're just a general techie, you like to get into the finer details of what's going on in the Bitcoin space and you want to talk about it, we're there to help, or just to bounce ideas off, etc., etc. And that's tomorrow. The meetup is full, but throw yourself on the waiting list. We're going to bring some extra chairs, see how many people we can actually fit in this room. And yeah, that's it.
It's about 25. I'll just tell you right now.
Yeah.
No, they run out of chairs.
I know we're bringing extra.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then also, I just joined the Bitcoin Foundation's Education Committee, and one of the stated agendas is working on, journals that have published stuff on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Oh, nice.
So I would suggest getting your cheap ass to spend $20 and joining the foundation, and then joining the committee.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Brittany Gates. I work a bit with Andre with eCoin Cashier, more the social media side of things, and I'm just here to listen to ideas and learn a bit more. I've been coming off and on for a few months now.
I'm Juan Llanos, Llanos in English. I work in the financial services world. I've been implementing compliance and operations for the last 12 years. I know regulation well because I have had to deal with it. So I started writing about it in a blog called ContrarianCompliance.com. And I basically, if you take the time to read the long form, you will learn a lot about what's going on in the world, the real world, and I'm trying to help companies really avert disaster. That's what I do my work. And I'm also a member of Bitcoin Foundation, one of the committees that Marco has graciously invited me to participate in, and I will be also speaking in the conference next week about how to implement a real compliance program. That's my talk.
My name is Dalvo. I live in Florida, Miami. I'm partners with the money transmitter out of Florida. I'm helping my brother Andre with his eCoin Cashier business. And what I'm looking for help with is I'd like to start a meetup in Miami. And if anyone has expertise or wants to do that, I'll import your butts in. I'll put you up at my fancy apartment. And you can help me get people interested and excited, and then we find somebody to run it.
I like Miami. Just a incidental note. I'm now the meetup guy for the Bitcoin Foundation. It's actually my job to help start meetups all over the world.
Oh, okay.
So you and I will certainly do that.
My name is Marco Santori. I'm an attorney here in New York City. I represent early stage businesses in the tech sector. And now
feed.
No, he just stopped showing it. It's there.
I was going to say it's perfect now. I can say whatever I want. And we're back. I represent early stage businesses in the tech sector. And over the last year, I've seen a logarithmic increase of my business that comes from Bitcoin and other digital currency work. And now it's about 2/3 of my practice. I spend a big chunk of my day on the phone with people in the industry, just talking about the industry and regulation and all of the issues that come up incidental to that.
And if you're a miner, he's one of the first law firms to accept Bitcoin.
My firm accepts Bitcoin. It comes sort of part and parcel with my agenda as the chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation's Regulatory Affairs Committee. So on either end of those, I'm here to help however I can, in whatever capacity I can.
Great. I think that's everyone. So last week was the conference. A show of hands to who went? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people. Oh, awesome. And you did as well. So just a side note, I ended up helping 4 people get free tickets to the conference from this group. So I did my best. Does anyone have any thoughts about the conference that they'd like to share to the group? Bueller?
I thought it was one of the weaker ones. It was not.
It wasn't that
disappointing.
Yeah.
Anybody want to hear more regulatory stuff?
Like, if you come to these meetings, then you go to the conference, it's kind of like, well, I've heard this before in like a more intimate setting. Now they're just a panel of people telling you the same thing.
Yeah.
It was very beginner oriented.
Well, that is kind of it was very beginner oriented.
But it was good to have the space and
It was nice to network. There was a lot of interesting
Oh,
people.
the after party at EVR had KNC Miner, Avalon, and BFL talking about what they're going to do with the industry as a whole. That was a those are very fun conversations.
Josh was there, right?
Josh.
Was that Josh?
Josh, yeah, it was Josh.
Yeah, he has like 22 terahash.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he has everyone else's BFLs. In
That's right. They haven't sold one yet.
That's
What were they saying?
Oh, they're forming a consortium to control the Bitcoin mining output. They're doing an OPEC, but for Bitcoin.
A cartel.
And yeah, cartel. Well, I won't. We're live. I would never disparage another organization publicly. But in essence, they, for the good of the network and for just their hearts, have decided that since they control 99% of all the ASICs that are out there, we'll start controlling and measuring out the distribution and blah blah blah, and essentially, compete with the network, not each other.
They control 99, whatever it is, percent of the ASICs that are out there now. But next month,
right?
That won't be the case. 2 months from now, it certainly won't.
No, that is true.
And in December, they're going to be like, how many nanometers? Wow, that's low.
Although, did you guys hear the rumor about Yifu?
Yeah, but that did turn out to be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Like it was like some spoof from like 2 years ago, something like that. $20 million.
200.
200. Yeah, ridiculous. Silliness. But there is supposedly like one of the head engineers from Samsung is teaming up with somebody else, and they're putting together like very serious ASIC project. I don't know all the details of it. Yeah.
Cointera.
Is that the name? Yeah.
And then I didn't want to disparage any of the miners because they each one of them gave 50 bitcoins towards the endeavor of getting PBS on board. So the 3 of them are 15 grand of the 21 grand.
Can you explain this PBS thing?
Yeah. So I spoke at the conference. I was being interviewed by PBS, and then afterwards their producer said, I was talking with the other producers, and we're kind of we're considering accepting Bitcoin to be donated to PBS. And I said, by the end of tonight, I will have $10,000 for you. And then you and I and Tony, who's over there, Tony Gillespie, who owns BitPay.
For you as in you?
What?
$20,000 for who?
For PBS.
Okay.
I said 10,000. I initially said 10.
Okay.
So, and when you speak to representatives of the company, you're not speaking to them. You're speaking.
Yeah. I'm so confused.
And I said, I'll get that. And she laughed, and she was like, yeah, let's just have a conversation or whatever. And then when she left, I just went to Tony, and I was like, we got to do this. And then I went around to pretty much everyone in the conference. I went to all the companies and did a shout out. And then by the end of the night, we had $21,000 pledged. And as I said before, 18 grand of that are from 5 companies. So even if the other 30 people flake out, those 5 companies will still have like 18 grand.
Right.
So my current thought is, I was actually speaking with the guy who helped coordinate the Ron Paul money bombs. So we're thinking of doing the same thing, but for PBS, maybe 2 or 3 months from now, just using the 20 grand as a seed.
Right.
And then just making it a big thing for the community as a whole that we got a laggard in PBS to officially accept Bitcoin.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so I just emailed her tonight to let her know, and I'm waiting for the response. But I did meet with 1 or 2 people who know, like, directors and higher at PBS. So the higher we can go with this, the quicker, the better.
So what was the $20,000 for PBS for exactly? Why did they need that?
It's a pledge. If PBS accepts Bitcoin, I pledge to donate this much to them in Bitcoin.
Just a donation. I get
Yeah.
it. All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job, bro.
Yes. So that's one thing. Also, anyway, I don't mean to make this the Jonathan Miller show. But yeah, it was really cool. And then I was on Let's Talk Bitcoin. They're really cool. They're going to be doing a lot more stuff in New York. And then tomorrow, I'm talking with the CTO of the New York Times to do a workshop for journalists to teach them how to cryptographically do their stuff with sources.
Do you need help with that?
Yeah, a lot of help. I mean, we need a lot of volunteers. So if anyone wants to volunteer for that, that'll be at the New York Times. Well, to be determined. I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll be at the New York Times. But that was from an extension of my panel, which was about journalistic protections. But anyway, that's just it for me. Yeah, the conference was really cool.
I want to put something out there for you.
Okay.
Maybe to make the meetups more interesting. I had an idea that I've been talking about to several people that I've met here at the meetup, which is to get acceptance for Bitcoin on an international level, and that would happen by getting the Red Cross to accept Bitcoin, because the Red Cross is not only internationally known, it controls the U.S. government in a way that no other organization on earth does.
Right.
Because it crosses over Republican, Democrat, everything, because they help people injured in hurricanes and earthquakes and everything right here in the United States.
Well, that's the thing about PBS
So
is
you're
if they say
starting
no,
with the PBS thing.
right? But if they say no, the money's still there, and Red Cross
No,
PBS is the same.
But look, I have access to the guy who runs the Florida chapter, and the Florida chapter is very important in the world of the Red Cross because we get hit by hurricanes all the time, right? So he's the guy who got through a very bureaucratic, it's the most complex organization to get things through on the planet because it's partially government and partially non-for-profit. So you mix the two most bureaucratic systems together, and then you make it 150 or 175 years old. I think they were helping people in the Civil War.
Have you fielded this idea to him yet?
No. So this guy happens to be the guy who was able to get the text messaging $10 text to the Red Cross.
For Haiti.
Okay, it started with Haiti, but now they use it. He was able to get this idea pitched right to the top. And he explained that process to me, and it's so complex, because of their system. Now, the idea would be for the team for people to throw ideas towards Jonathan, not me, to see how we can come up with something technically. There's a technical end to this, right? With the developers. There's a business end to this. There's a non-for-profit end to this. Okay? And the team feeds ideas because this helps everybody. Because the moment the Red Cross said, yes, we'll not only accept donations, we want to facilitate for Bitcoin to come in. Or maybe there's a technical reason why it's easier or better for them to collect their money.
Exception,
so we have to contribute, business knowledge to this, technical knowledge, everything. Because the moment they accept, the U.S. government can't deny us. We're in.
Yeah, so we will certainly take that offline, and I know there are a couple other people we can get on board for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I just created work for you.
No, that's fine. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
Good. And then the other thing is, there was an article that was just released. The market price of Bitcoins is 60% higher in Argentina than the rest of the world. So,
I like steak.
Juan,
If they're paying cash.
Juan here lives in Argentina and knows how to not launder money in Argentina.
Not really.
Okay, great. But you do not know how to launder money?
Yeah, so everything is laundered.
It's impossible not to launder money in Argentina.
So I was thinking that if this keeps going and we get enough men on the ground, that I want to just throw a fucking week-long party/conference in February or March, and let's just all go to Argentina for 60% off the entire country for like a week. We could probably get a couple hundred people to go, and we'll just make it a week-long thing.
But you have to line up the buyers over there.
Yeah,
I mean, if
only there wasn't a meetup group where a couple hundred people met every month in Argentina,
Oh, there
in
is?
Buenos Aires. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Our currency is appreciating at 25% every 3 months.
Depreciating.
But isn't that the price of Bitcoin is stable? Doesn't that mean that the
It's
value?
160 in Argentina.
But
and
the
it's-
value, but that's more the value of the peso, not the value of Bitcoin. The
But
peso
you
is devalued.
receive pesos there and you'd be able to spend it for the week.
But if you receive currency, could you just go to, like, say, an American bank or whatever, convert it to dollars, put it into your account?
As an American,
make
you
a
can,
business
but
with
as an Argentina, you have to go to jail.
Argentines cannot buy dollars.
So if I were
But
to
as
go
an
there
American,
with a bunch of
you make
Bitcoin, could I make that a lucrative venture?
Until you go to jail.
I
Is there a way like to get in, get out?
Well, how fine are you with being excommunicated from Argentina? Dude, like you should just go to country.
Well, it
but
depends
get
on how much money I make.
Yeah.
What kind of country.
But seriously, I think in February when it sucks, let's just get like 100, 200 people, and let's just go to Argentina for like a week.
Start planning the trip now.
How come Argentines can't buy dollars?
Oh, so please go ahead.
Because do you know what leftist governments do when and totalitarian governments do when it's happening in Argentina?
So if you want to know how bad Argentina is right now, they have food price caps.
Everything is government controlled because they want to artificially control economic indicators, basically. Right? So they have an artificial consumer price index that is not really reflecting reality. There's inflation, rampant inflation, and they basically are fudging the numbers to make the government appear successful.
Have they created a dual currency system yet? Or?
There is a.
I'm Cuban.
There was a that has happened in my country actually.
There's the blue rate.
There is 7 different scales of currency based on what you're buying. If you're buying the official rate is the lowest, and then you have to buy apartments, to buy food, to buy and there's a huge, very black market that is where this happens. The highest rate is available. So if you go with dollars, you're gonna make a lot of money.
And I heard like this month, or last month, they just made it illegal to buy stock in the Argentine exchange and then sell it in the New York Stock Exchange.
Correct.
So now there's like no way to get
They
your
have
money out.
closed PayPal accounts. There was a way to convert cash for a citizen to have dual accounts in currency and dollars, and then they closed that down. They have made Western Union block Argentina for money transfers. It's incredible.
There's withdrawal caps as well, right?
Yes, the withdrawal caps. It's really. I mean, you probably don't. You will need some time to understand the history of why this is happening, but it's very, very not 21st century.
So can the trade be executed in Chile?
Well,
but listen,
no.
if the U.S. government was losing its position as the world currency, it would institute those same things.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens is when the economy
protectionist
of a country is going okay, people are dealing in their money and everything. The moment it starts to default so poorly, they give up their money. And the more they give up the money, the more the economy defaults. So they're trying to stop the people. So the people at the top, those who have money and can travel to the United States, are trying to convert into dollars. And it'll sink the whole economy. They have to stop it. It's not, they're not doing it because they're trying to hurt the people. They're trying to protect all the people, but it hurts those at the top who have money and can get the fuck out. Can I say fuck?
It's basically ideologically driven, unfortunately. They have this 70s ideology, pre-coup d'etat. In Argentina, we've had 6 coup d'etats in the 20th century, so the rule of law is not very common. So, but there is a kind of a historical revisionism going on, and they're trying to install old structures controlling.
So they're buying bitcoins as an alternative to dollars?
Exactly. As an alternative to the dollar.
As an investment vehicle.
And as an investment, as a store of value that holds much better than the peso.
If the peso's going down 30% every 3 months.
The actual inflation rate is 25% every quarter. So it's
quarter. So it's like, fuck it, might as well just put it in this. Like it's not riskier than.
So you gotta get it out.
Well, because they can't access enough dollars. Those same people who are buying bitcoins, if they could access dollars, they would.
Yeah,
right.
Okay?
But
and these are
I'm
people
thinking-
with excess money.
Right.
It's not people buying Bitcoin to then go to the grocery store.
Right. No, I thought they were buying the Bitcoin so that later on they could convert it to dollar wherever they are. And
Eventually, but they're actually beginning to learn that there's this alternative. The Bitcoin Meetup in Buenos Aires has 450 members. They recently had a meetup in Meetup.
They had 200 people come out.
And this is smart people realizing this is an alternative to what's going on.
Did something similar happen in Cyprus?
No, it's a different situation. But
well, I mean, the idea that there's a crisis or there's a need.
Exactly. The trigger is a crisis.
Capital out, and this is one.
In that sense.
So Argentina's not going to get less restrictive in the next 4 or 5 months?
Yep, but they can't restrict Bitcoin the way they did Western Union.
No, I understand.
PayPal.
Which is what I'm saying is that this.
Technically,
They can't. Well,
This
But they're
arbitrage
gonna do it.
opportunity to get a vacation for 60% off an entire week's stay, I think is going to be here for the next 6 months. It's the only question of whether or not it's going to be illegal or not. And if it's illegal, then the trip becomes even cheaper.
It probably
No, because then the exchange rate will be like 10.
There will be black market.
No, it wouldn't be.
Okay, good.
So while we're on the conversation of international waters, we heard from Thailand, we've heard from the UK, we've heard from the European Union.
And Canada.
And Canada. We've heard from a bunch of the major players. What have we heard from South America in terms of like MSB licensing? Has anybody, I haven't heard a word from down there.
Brazil shut down. Andre.
Well, Bank of Brazil froze an account.
Okay, but that's
there
not
is
necessarily
for one of the exchanges, but there is another exchange going on in Sao Paulo. The news out of Brazil isn't, out of all the economies there, Brazil's a pretty darn stable economy.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
a lot of this explosion that's happening is because people are desperate. In Argentina, I mean, I know a lot of people from Argentina. Just a year and a half ago, I had buddies of mine say, Andre, could you go over to the bank in New York and see how, I had a guy who used to work for me who asked if I could help him open a bank account here in the U.S. because he does business outside the country, and he prefers not to get paid, right? Live off his wife's salary and get money transmitted to a U.S. bank account. And this was a year and a half ago. Now things got really bad.
So I mean, if we're looking from the outside in, and you want to offer Bitcoin services in Brazil, there's no controls over the licensing, and not a function of the bank, because it would be coming from a U.S. bank doing business there. Has anybody been shut down explicitly because of Bitcoin?
The person you should really get in touch with is someone from Coinapult, maybe Eric or maybe Gabe, because their entire startup play is to be BitInstant for South America and Africa.
Yeah.
And that's 100% what they're focused on. So if anyone knows that answer, it would be that company.
There is strict regulation in Brazil, however.
Yeah.
There is. Brazil and Chile have very strong regimes, and contrary to what makes think, it's good for the overall system that there's some kind of regulation.
Oh no, I'm
And
not
in general, people are kind of we don't want regulation,
that's
but
another conversation we're having.
but there is Brazil is famously against illegal exchange operations, the doleiros, famous doleiros in the U.S. And that is a reality, and they're very strict in financial services licensing and enabling the service providers, company to provide the financial service. So I would get assistance from people who know the market.
And the bankers there, they're a little bit different than the bankers here. They're personally liable.
Yes.
So there's been instances where the CEO of a company has actually gone to jail because someone down the pike did something wrong. So
the lobby wasn't strong enough.
So it happens, and it's happened to U.S. businessmen. Just a year ago, 6 guys from Exxon were there, American businessmen, and they were tossed in jail. There's no such, because a pipe went bust, they can't just turn and say, oh no, we have this company called, Exxon, and it's their liability. That doesn't exist in Brazil.
Companies are not people.
What?
Companies are not people.
No, people are responsible for their companies, and they're held personally liable for what they do.
Right. Cool. Thank you guys. Much appreciated.
No more regulation, please.
I'd love to hear from some of the new people. Does anyone have any questions or confusion or
Tell us what your
accessibility or what's your going with Bitcoin or what you'd like to do with Bitcoin?
Well, let's call out the lawyer.
Yeah, let's hear from the other lawyer.
He's just taking pictures. Mohin saw his camera.
That's
I thought you said you were.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but just really learning.
This is my cousin.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hi. I wasn't going to be racist and say you all look the same.
All good resemblance.
What, guys in suits? No,
You mean the lawyers, right?
That's it.
no, he's not.
Is anybody building products that are related to that help merchants accept Bitcoins and things like that? Anybody?
We wanted to, but the whole regulation stuff scared off my partner.
I'm sorry, who's we again?
Me and the partner that I was supposed to meet today, but my phone died, so I don't think he's coming.
Well, depending on, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Depending on where you're going to put yourself in the space as a payment processor, there's different compliance. It's much less than an MSB. Look at BitPay. they kind of got around it because they categorize themselves as a payment processor, which is a totally different category. So definitely look into that.
But the thing is, his customers, he owns an ATM company, and he used to be partners with a credit card processing company, and then they broke off. And so he has a lot of contacts, and all those contacts, they wouldn't want Bitcoin. They would want to get cash. They want to accept Bitcoin and then get cash.
Right. Yeah, so you can
I
still
thought
be a payment processor in that like little nuance there.
And if there's a lot of the regulation on that end that you don't want to handle, that's what BitPay is for. Like what BitPay does is they convert Bitcoin into dollars and take a 1% fee. And then I'm sure if you're setting up ATMs or something, you can get some sort of, if that's their regular rate, you probably get
Right. Well, the ATM thing was my idea because I just figured, it's so much easier to deal with a machine than to deal with a person.
So in the ATM space, there are essentially two competitors. One is called the Bitcoin ATM, and the other one's called the Lamasu machine.
Oh, there are more than that, my friend.
Well, those are the ones who are
There's
out in the open.
RoboCoin too.
But let's clarify for him, right? It's not an ATM. It's an exchanger.
Yeah.
They're vending
all
machines.
ATMs will be an exchanger, but you can't really have a Bitcoin ATM.
Well, you
no
could if
Bitcoin
you stored the private key with a bunch of coins in it, but that doesn't seem like the best. It depends on how you implement it. You could technically.
And DEF CON just came out and they found a way to take the Kassation coin money out of the Kassation.
Yeah, they drop it in like an acetone or something.
Let me give you a card because I'm doing the same thing.
Oh, okay.
But no, the reason I brought up the merchant
Well far
services.
along.
The reason I brought up merchant services was because Gavin last week he pointed out 70, 71, and 72. That's Bitcoin improvement proposals, and for merchant services exclusively. So eventually you'll be able to send encrypted messages through the blockchain to your customers through like MIME types and stuff like that, and it'll be man-in-the-middle hardened, so you don't have to worry about getting hacked or et cetera and so on. So if you're working on merchant services, definitely take a look into that because it will be put into the protocol pretty soon. It's on its way.
The payment message goes through the blockchain?
It will be an encrypted message. Like so, if you want to attach a message to like a receipt or something that you're sending.
Well, you could do a public announcement with every Bitcoin transaction. This would just be that, but encrypted.
How different is that than what Florin Coin does?
I haven't looked into Florin Coin. I don't know how exactly they implement it, so I couldn't answer that.
I sent my buddy Kirill Bitcoin money, and I said acceptance of these funds constitutes agreement that Jonathan Mohan has a larger penis. And he took the funds, so it's legal. It's in the blockchain.
That's a lot of guessing.
It's in the blockchain, so it's true.
There's all these like different ways to purchase Bitcoins. Why do people like Meetup and buy and sell Bitcoins?
Just liquidity. It's how much do you want to spend, how long do you want to wait, and how much risk do you want to take in doing the exchange.
Like, let's say you go to a major player like Coinbase or Mt. Gox. First, you got to get verified, right? So that requires you to send in an ID, link up a bank account, right? So we'll take Mt. Gox as the use case. To get money to them, you got to wire transfer in. It's OkCupid dropped out, Dwala dropped out.
Nice try, not OkCupid.
They didn't drop? Are they back?
No.
Okay. Okay, great.
They're looking to get a baseball.
Are you single right now?
Yeah,
Check out his account.
That's on tape, yes.
Right, so look for your profile.
25 million people watching you.
It's going to be an unsafe database forever.
Yeah.
I did just because I came up, I was on OkCupid and I typed in Bitcoin, and there are some Bitcoiners that I know on OkCupid. What's the general? So feel free to do the search.
So the point being, just to get your money in there, it can be 3, 5, 2, 3, 4 weeks. That was 3 to 5 days, sometimes more, right? And so, and the cost of getting it in there is like $40 for a SEPA or a wire transfer, and like it's a huge barrier to entry because for most banks you got to walk into the branch and get a wire transfer done. You can't do it online.
I knew someone who wired $300, $400 into Mt. Gox. And then when that bullshit happened with the Department of Homeland Security seizing their Dwala account, his assets were up in the air for like 2 weeks, and he was like, "What the hell is this bullshit? Like, why is this affecting me? I thought Mt. Gox was, all these sorts of things." So even because you're using an accredited sort of thing doesn't mean that your money's just going to be gone. Because if you don't have it in your hand, you don't own it.
Yeah, it's a function of safety ease of use. Like that's one of the big things that a lot of the people in this room are working on is just breaking that barrier to entry.
Right.
You know, exchanges, stuff like that, making it easier.
Also, it's very scary now for people to exchange. I used to exchange and suggest people to just send money to Liberty Reserve and exchange it over that. Now, that's
Good
scary.
suggestion.
I mean, look what happened. Well, luckily, nobody came and it's like, why did you tell me that? But
You didn't charge them for that advice, did you?
I just told them that would be the easiest way to do it because that was the easiest way for me. So.
So when you buy Bitcoins with cash, how are you verifying the Bitcoin side of the transaction?
So on the cell phone, there are cell phone apps?
Cell phone apps.
Yeah, the cell phone apps. So,
It's kind of like, it's
So
kind of like you're
you don't
just
have it until you see the Bitcoin.
I use cell phone apps. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
and then there's kind of a group, like, first of all, 80% of the people who are there know each other by the function of being involved in this group at first. But also it's the communal safety net of like everyone's kind of watching the transactions, so they're like
including the FBI.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Josh actually invited
this guy,
FBI agent out to. So at the conference there was a special agent for cybercrimes, and he was like, hey, I just want to talk. Learn about Bitcoin.
That's what they all say. That's what they all say.
And I was like, here's my card, maybe we'll get lunch. And then he was like, I was like, you want to talk to Josh? And Josh was like, yeah, man, come out to Social Square, watch us trade, blah, blah, blah. And I was telling a couple of my buddies that. He was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to show up for the next little while. It's like, yeah. He seems so confident that what he's doing is legal because he talked to one or two lawyers from the Bitcoin Foundation. They're like, oh, yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Who did he talk to from the foundation?
I will tell you who he talked to later. I don't know off the top of my head.
There's only one lawyer at the Bitcoin Foundation.
Maybe that's him.
Really?
I mean, it's
That's really only a couple of them.
well, I mean, he didn't talk to you.
Yeah, that's only one of them. Well, he did talk to me, but I definitely didn't tell him that. Money up to the FBI.
Well, it's not necessarily illegal, is it, to trade it for your own account? I mean,
No,
you're buying and
so
selling.
there's precedent on this. It's obviously the threshold question is whether you're operating as a business. And pretty much any test you're looking at, whether you're looking at the money transmission regulations or whether you're looking at the securities regulations for exchanges, operating as a business is one of the threshold questions.
And as a business isn't defined.
And obviously as a business isn't typically defined. There's no like statutory definition of this in most cases. There's a factor test that courts use. And if you don't have customers, you're trading on your own account, and it's for your own investment purposes, you otherwise have a job and an income stream, all of these things play against you operating as a business and against the enforcement, regulatory enforcement. But from another side of that coin, there's actually precedent here of where there have been online currency exchanges trading in virtual currencies before the term was coined so famously in March by FinCEN. And one of the requirements for exchange regulation is operating a trading floor. Is there really a trading floor? And there are a lot of websites and services that will match people with a buyer and a seller, and then say, okay, you're matched. Go, do your thing. And that's not an exchange. There has to be some mechanism of control for actually taking custody and facilitating the actual transfer. Like local Bitcoin, for instance. Say again? Like local Bitcoin. That would be like a trading floor? Local Bitcoin there's a lot of these. So which one is local Bitcoin?
Local Bitcoin's the Craigslist for Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Right, it's just a matching service.
Yeah, if
that
it's
you-
just a matching service, then you're essentially operating classified.
But they also operate an escrow service
Yeah,
as
they
well.
do have an escrow. Well, escrow services, it makes you a money transmitter sort of right off the bat, unless you're a lawyer. Which I think one second thing that's anyway. But the precedent that was set as far as these online exchanges, and it was drawn as an analogy from the real world, which is why it's applicable, is whether there's a trading floor. And is Max operating a trading floor?
No.
And it's an open outcry exchange, is what he calls it. Is he operating it? It's tough to tell. It's just like, hey guys, let's all get together and do this.
Well, that's tough in the physical world, but I mean, some of you guys have been involved with Josh from the beginning. I'm really surprised that they were starting to develop the application that they had for peer-to-peer trading.
Yeah, that's where it's going to get.
I mean, if nothing else, why didn't they approach it from a peer-to-peer application with clients as opposed to a central website. And that, the minute they do that, he's an administrator, and that's well defined in FinCEN regulations.
Yeah, I think he's looking for developers to help out. I'm sure he would feel that idea, but I don't know if anybody's willing to build it out right now.
I mean, I think he's just doing what all successful entrepreneurs do and very unsuccessful entrepreneurs do, which is you leap first and you iterate, and then try to build it up as you go. So I think, like you were saying before, he's just looking for someone to. He's hoping that the Satoshi Squares get enough traction to facilitate building that eventually, and I think make them two separate things. But on the note of Satoshi Square, there are now 6 or 7 different locations, including like 3 countries that have their own Satoshi Squares. So it's really taking off.
Great lesson to be learned talking about iterations. If you've taken the time to read about what tangible cryptography is doing as far as the strategy going forward. I don't know if any of you have read
I'm going to be
it.
talking about them on the 14th. He's actually going. He was on the defense. Gerard, is it?
Yeah, Gerard.
What, to show
yeah,
up?
he says, I don't know if they're going to go on the 14th. I said, well, I'm going to go, and I'm going to be talking. I'm going to talk about you. So definitely go because okay, let's put me.
No, pretty brilliant what he's doing.
He's a smart guy.
He's putting. I mean, but he's gotten. Well, the context is that he got shut down in Virginia, right?
They didn't actually get shut down.
I don't know the story.
They didn't even get a cease and desist letter.
Tangible cryptography was one of the most successful over-the-counter Bitcoin exchangers. You could send him Bitcoin, he'd send you cash. You could send him cash, he'd send you Bitcoin. And he was making a market on spread. He got a cease and desist letter from the state of Virginia. He was running a very, very successful business, and he's basically out of business trying to figure out how to run it.
So if I can interject for a second, I just got an email response from PBS, and she said, well, I'm very impressed in caps. Thanks so much. She said, just so long as, and this is because she works for NewsHour, just so long as it's PBS NewsHour and not PBS the umbrella, I'd appreciate that. And the other reason why the money will help is that PBS NewsHour is their weekly like news series. Their operating budget is $700,000 a year. So if we get them like $50K, they can't say no to that as a subsidiary of PBS, because that's 10% of their yearly budget. She says they're dealing with some tech issues right now, but that she will go to the director of PBS NewsHour, and let them know so that we can get them on board to have the discussion once they're done with their tech issue. So that's an update.
When's that article going to air? When's that interview?
PBS thing? I don't even know if it is going to air. We'll find out. But that's I think that whether or not they do a piece on Bitcoin is irrespective of whether or not they get. Because if NewsHour accepts it, it's a subsidiary, then PBS Global has to accept it. It's just the money would be going to PBS NewsHour.
So from an education perspective, the business people in the room, what tangible cryptography has done and helped me out because I've read it once fairly quickly, is that first they applied to shed their MSB filing with FinCEN, right? Because their stance is that they're not an MSB, and they're sitting as investors. That's the first thing they did because by virtue of having submitted the MSB filing, they're already telling the state of Virginia that they are a money service business and they're breaking the law. It's the reason why myself, I went for an administrative ruling and I didn't file it as an MSB. For those of you who don't know, it's one form, it's free, and it's very fast to do. And it keeps your butt out of jail for 7 years if you happen to fall under one of the categories of MSB. The other thing that they did was
what does that
they
mean
opened 2 LLCs.
It keeps you out of jail for is it so it's on the liability blanket for 7 years? I don't so like
They have these crazy. I don't know if is it 5 or 7 years. Can quote me.
I don't know.
FinCEN.
Talking about FinCEN registration.
Yeah, FinCEN
Federal
registration. Federal registration is an MSP.
Safe harbor. You're talking about safe harbor. Yeah.
No, just so to register. If you don't register, there's a possibility that you could face criminal charges up to 7 years. We all know what.
You're talking about what is the criminal penalty under the Bank Secrecy Act?
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay. So people will do that because they're saying, well, I'm not an MSB, so I'm going to file. So what you're actually telling the states is, I am an MSB because I admitted to being one to the federal government. And they use that as a criteria to then prosecute you, right? So be very, very careful in what you do. So what they've done is they've written, and I don't know what it's called legally, but they've written to FinCEN to remove or get them declassified as an MSB. Okay, that's one thing that they did. And I was very, very cautious of that in the beginning when I submitted for my administrative ruling. The other thing they've done is they created, I think, one corporation and two LLCs, wholly owned by tangible cryptography. Why? Because creating a corporation and getting jurisdiction in areas where you don't necessarily require a money transmission license, right, keeps you from criminal jurisdiction from where it is that they want to prosecute you. We all know that Canada has opened up their legalities to being to
Bitcoin businesses aren't MSPs.
Right. Bitcoin businesses aren't MSPs, so they can service
exchanges specifically.
Bitcoin exchanges are not
Bitcoin exchanges.
Right. So they can service their clients out of Canada underneath that legal umbrella. If anyone has trouble creating an LLC and a corporation, it's very easy. I'm sure there are plenty of people in the room who can help you. And I think they did the same, was it South Carolina?
South Carolina and British Columbia.
Yeah, British Columbia, right? So they're making their company that they own.
Which
right?
also has no state money transmitter. South
Right.
Carolina.
So they established two areas that don't require money transmission licenses, right, that are outside the jurisdiction of other states, and then they decided that they won't be doing business with New York, and they won't be doing business with California, which I'd love for you to elaborate, because California doesn't have the laws on the books, but they enforce not servicing their residents, which is sort of odd to me. I don't know what the deal is there. But they're shielding themselves.
I deal with the spirit of the law, he deals with the letter of the law.
Sometimes I prefer the spirit. So they're using, and I would recommend everyone read this. I don't know all of the details. I'm recollecting it from, probably reading it off a drunken stupor at 2 in the morning in my bed when I got home one night. But what they're doing is they're structuring themselves in a very creative way to avoid criminal jurisdiction in different states. And then they're doing something super interesting for the technologists in the room. And that is they're running servers in those locations where they don't require licenses through dumb terminals, right? So they're either going to use X Windows or remote desktop to connect to the servers. Their company servers are established in those jurisdictions where they don't require licenses.
But they're dealing with people in like states that do require.
Yeah, but those are employees. I could be a company right now and hire someone in California. I worked for 16 years of my life for companies out of San Francisco.
Now he's asking something different. He says they're servicing people.
Yeah.
You're servicing others.
No. But the minute you are in jurisdictions that don't require money transmission licenses, is a limited amount of states that you can't service someone, right? And remember, their position is that they are no longer an MSB and don't require money transmission licenses. So they've sort of tried to move on the stance that I originally took, that I'm still striving for. And by the way, I couldn't get through to FinCEN today. A couple people were.
You call them every week, or
So what I'm hearing is that you're going to use the coupon code MOVAN to go to the conference, so you can talk to the former director of FinCEN directly.
Wait, so I wanted like a
You're ready, guys.
clarification. If you're operating out of a state that doesn't require MSB licensing, you're saying that you
money
can
transmission
right
at that point.
MSB, you're an MSB or MTB, whatever, and you're operating from a state that doesn't require those kind of licensing for Bitcoin exchanges. You can service customers in certain states besides New York and California and Texas.
Well, it's supposed to be Texas, New York, Connecticut, right? Do you guys know off the top of your
So
head?
what you're talking about is extraterritorial application of the state's money transmission laws. And those states that you name have explicitly said that if you service our clients, I don't care if you service them from within our state or from Mars,
right?
You're a money transmitter under our laws and we have jurisdiction.
Right.
Other states haven't said that explicitly, but they could still enforce that just because they didn't come out and say it and give you guidance.
California's one.
California's one.
Exactly.
Just because they didn't come out and give you guidance doesn't mean that they're not going to enforce it that way. In fact, I'm counseling my clients that, look, this is the writing's on the wall. It's going to happen. You're just joking yourself if you think you're going to do what TC is doing, what Fast Cash for Bitcoins, you say, is doing, which is operate from within this nucleus of your non-regulated state out to regulated states. It's just,
well, guys,
it's just not going to
happen. Hold on.
There is a solution to it.
Well, there are many solutions, right? And which is an argument that I've posed several times. We should be sitting in this meeting talking about what the solutions are, what the different approaches are that can be done. And I'm just stating that they're looking at this in a creative way. You could read all about it on Reddit, okay? Not only from a jurisdictional perspective, okay, but from being taking a different stance of saying, hey, I'm not a money transmitter at all, because Juan's absolutely right. You're going to be in trouble if you're a money transmitter. But there are areas in the law and areas in doing business where the lines are blurred. And if you can blur them enough, and if you're a technologist developing a business, right, I would look into building my platform such that I could go in and tick, and all of a sudden the state of New York is down. Tick, and all of a sudden the state of California is down. And we all know how to do that, right? We can just do a global variable and disable that state, or even the possibility of registration. Everyone in this room, right? If I knew that I wanted to do business with a different business, and I'm a New York State resident, crap, I got other residences in Florida, in New Jersey, hell, in Brazil, if I really wanted to do business with them. So there's plenty of ways around that. We know that the gambling sites do something similar, right? So think about it strategically, not only from a jurisdictional perspective, think of it strategically from a technology perspective, not only remoting X Windows or RDP to your servers,
How
right?
do regulators feel about that? I feel like that's a different kind of cat and mouse. It's like spitting on the floor and walking away and being like, this is how we're going to roll.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think what he said, Andre, is that even if you knock out a few states, or half the states, the other half, although they haven't explicitly said what New York and Connecticut and California have said, they will probably come after you anyway, because they don't have to announce that we're going to come after you to come after you.
Okay, but listen, let's be straight here, guys. There is criminal prosecution, okay, and there is civil prosecution. For instance, case in point, the guy running the Ponzi scheme,
Pirate 40,
right? He's getting a civil suit against the SEC. Now, personally, if I have a civil suit against me, I'm happy as a pig in a blanket. You know why? Because I'm outside, I have money and contacts. Now, if I'm behind bars, there's a lot I can't do. So if I'm going to take a risk as a businessman and I'm going to position myself, I'm going to look at whether I'm walking a fine line criminally or I'm walking a fine line civilly. Right?
It's an important distinction, I get, but not everybody has the resources.
And speaking of which, aren't you're making a handbook guideline thingamabobby?
Oh yeah, so you'll see it soon on the. He's teeing me up for a plug, but you'll see it soon on one of the Bitcoin media outlets. I'm not supposed to say which one, though. I think it's pretty obvious which one it's going to be. Authoring a multi-part article series called "The Businessman's Primer on Bitcoin." And I'll be presenting a portion of it on December 11th in Las Vegas, which is the next Insight Bitcoins conference. So
Which is funny because
all of you there.
when I initially asked you if you'd be interested in writing some sort of Bitcoin guidelines, you're like, well, that's like $10,000 a page, and lawyers don't like to put anything in writing. And now you get to become some chairman of some committee, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, I'll write this handbook. Yeah, no, I'm here for you guys.
And by the way, guys, I'm not saying anything tangible cryptography is doing, okay, is legal. I'm not an attorney. I'm not saying anything they're doing is right. But if nothing else, you can garner the fact that now they're stepping back and saying, strategically thinking about their business. And I want to turn to all of us and say that there are many strategic things that we can do, okay, to position our business. Think about jurisdiction. Think about how you build your application to disable states. until you have licensing there or until you can get partnerships there. So there are a lot of strategic things and this meeting's supposed to be about business, right? Right. Entrepreneurship. How you can approach your businesses as you build it out. And I'm taking the same
Right, here,
advice.
I'm gonna give you guys a nice, inexpensive solution to all these problems, okay? And this is from personal experience from my partner's business, all right? He's the negative brother, I'm the positive. Okay. So here it is. You want to do business with a state, pick a state, okay? And you want to deal, and you're gonna be considered a money transmitter if you deal with that state, okay? Now, here back in your state, you have to do the same strategy that I'm about to tell you, all right? This is all free of charge, worth millions of dollars for all of you. Okay, I expect dinner, right? What you do is this. My partner has a money transmitter's license in Florida, okay? But he'd like, and he has cards, debit cards, all over the United States. So now, here's the problem he was faced with. If you need to put money on that card, how do you do it since he's not in your state? And the money you put, the minute you put money on that card, although you registered with him in Florida, to load that card in that state would require him to be a money transmitter in that state. And not only is that a process that could take 1 to 2 years and cost a lot of money, but once you have money transmission licenses in all those states, you're regulated in all those states, which means you have to go through very arduous audits in all those states. You have to keep books, physical books, in all those states. You have to have a physical presence in all those states. Very undoable. I heard of people with dozens of licenses. You don't need dozens of licenses. This is all you need to do. You find a business in that state that's a money transmitter, and you do some kind of business with them.
You rent their license.
Okay? And what you do is you sign an agency agreement with them. You're now their agent. Now, you have to do some sort of business, and I'm going to figure out, I already have something that you can all come to me, and I'll give you what to do with them, okay? And I'll tell you who these people are. Check cashing places, all right? Pawn shops, IRS tax offices,
Well, wait,
all right?
question, like,
Those are all money businesses. Now, if you can sell a widget, anybody have a widget? Thank you. If you can sell a widget at a check cashing store in Wisconsin, okay, and they say, okay, we'll sell you a widget. Hey, they're an agent of yours and you're an agent of theirs, right? You have a contract. Now, everybody you do Bitcoin in Wisconsin, you're covered.
wait, but if you're getting a license as a pawn shop or check cash, does that check cashier location, does that offer you the opportunity to be an agent of that license and exchange Bitcoins? Like, is it an umbrella thing?
Yeah,
like,
no. So what happens is you're now an agent of someone in a state with a money transmitter's license.
But like,
so now anybody in that state, you can now service with your Bitcoin.
I think pawn shops would be a really easy.
No, but there's check cashing places, a whole bunch of places. This is what my partner does. Right. And actually, you can do it where if you do it with one state and they're represented in other states, you've already covered a bunch of other states. Now, starting out over here in this state, you want to be in North Carolina where they don't require a money transmitter's license, right? And then from then on, or whatever other states don't require. Or you partner up, or you do something that you're an agent of a money transmitter here in New York. Now you do the agency agreement with those money transmitters, and you've solved your problem.
well, I guess in the spirit of being open about this, I feel like, you know, if I was the first business to get, you know, statewide licensing, and then I don't want to step on BTC Global's, you know, toes. And with all due respect, you guys have kind of kept us in the dark about your progress. I mean, like, if somebody is able to do that, like, they should allow other people to be agents of the license. It's not like just, you know, everybody can do it, but you go through an application process. I mean, that's what, I mean, hopefully I can do something like that at some point, but, you know, I'm not anywhere near there. But, like, you know, just kind of get everybody moving on that.
This is what my company is trying to do. We're a licensed money transmitter in 17 states right now. We're going to double that next year.
Are you looking for customers?
And we are receiving proposals from multiple companies, big name companies, to basically become an authorized delegate or agent of ours. And it's a possibility. We haven't seen a working deal yet, in the sense that it has to be first of all, it doesn't have to hurt the existing business and strategy.
So if I might interject, we have some hungry tummies.
Okay.
So if we might head to dinner a little early, and then continue that there. So for those who don't know, there's a restaurant about 3 blocks away. We have their entire basement. You don't have to eat. You can just come and chill and talk, and we'll just be walking there. If you do want to eat, it's family style, tax and tip included. It'll cost you $15, and it's good food. And if you want to buy a drink or a beer, it's like $5, and you just let them know and they'll hand it to you. You just give them cash for that. With that, sorry if you had a point or something. If anyone's interested, please head out. A number of us do. And blame it on those two. Those two right there. So cool. So let's go get food and continue this discussion there. And you don't have to eat. You can come anyway. Normally, I'd rather